Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Basico ServiceNow Learning. So in today's video, we are going to talk about loops such as for loop, for in loop, for off loop, while loop, do while loop, nested loop. In this video, we are going to talk about each and every concept of loops. We will practically implement all these concepts to get complete understanding. This is a sixth video of Learn JavaScript with ServiceNow series. In previous videos, we have covered topics from 1 to 8, and in this video, we are going to cover topics from 9 to 12, which is of loop. So let's see what is loop. So before I read this definition, let me give you a brief of something first. Let's navigate to ServiceNow background script editor. If you are using Visual Studio Code, Notepad++, Eclipse, NetBeans, etc., that is okay because the JavaScript concepts are same everywhere, right? So let me print something that is gs.info. In other tools, we use console.log, but in ServiceNow, we use gs.info. So let me print some text. Let's say JavaScript. Click on Run Script. See here, it print a particular string JavaScript. Let's say if I have to print this script 10 times, then what I have to do? I have to paste the same code again and again in this way. And then click on run script. Then I am getting a same string 10 times, right? So a single piece of code, if I need to execute 10 times, 1,000 times, then I have to write that code again and again, right? It's not a best practice, even though it is not recommendable because it is very difficult to maintain. It is very difficult to apply logic. It is very difficult to update or modify something, right? So it's not a best practice. So for that, loops comes into picture. So loop is a sequence of instruction that is continually repeated until it reaches to a certain condition. So let's read the definition. So loop is used to execute the statement repeatedly, means if we want to execute the same code again and again or number of times, means same code again and again number of times with the same or different values, then we can use loops. There are three type of loops. The first one is for loop, while loop, and the third one is do while loop. So let's see how we can use for loop. So there are three main ways to use for loop. The first way is this, where like for expression 1, expression 2, and expression 3. The second one is for in, and the third one is for off. So let's see how we can use the first way, that is for expression 1, expression 2, and expression 3. So this is the way to use the same, where we in expression 1 we have to initialize the value, in expression 2 we have to provide the condition, and in expression 3 we have to increment or decrement the values, and then whatever code we will write in between the curly braces will get execute. So let me give you a demonstration of the same. So let's take an example of this scenario only, that we have executed Java 10 times, right? So how using for loop, how we can achieve it? Let's see. Let me remove this. Let's assume this is a piece of code which we need to execute 10 times using for loop. For where I equals to 0. In ServiceNow, it does not support let. Then we have to give expression 2, that is condition, where I am saying that I is less than equals to 10, and then I am incrementing a value here, and then curly braces. Okay, so in between the curly braces I have to put the code which I want to execute multiple times. So let's execute. Click on run script. See, same we can achieve only in 3 lines, or either if I am writing 20, see, same we can achieve in 3 lines only. There is no need to write a same syntax 20 times. So this is the benefit of loop. So let me give you some practical example of array, right? Because mostly loop are very useful while using arrays, object. Okay. So here let me give some array over here, where array name. In coming videos, we will be covering arrays and object in details. So here array. So let me give names over here. Let's say Ram. James. So I believe you all not know my name, right? So here I will be giving my name in array, and if you can guess, you can comment the same in comment box. Rajesh, Aman, Arthur, and then Alina. So this is the array which contains almost six values of string type: Ram, James, Rajesh, Aman, Arthur, and Alina. So I have to print the name of each and every index, okay, using for loop. How I can achieve the same? So here we have initialized the value. Here I have to give a condition. So I can give a condition like this: I is s- smaller than array, sorry, array names. Basically, this is the name, array name, copy, paste, dot, length, property, length. Okay. So what basically this gives us? This gives us the total number of elements or index present in array: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically this will be returning as a value as a 6, a numerical value as a 6, the length of an array. Okay. For your help, I will also print this just for understanding perspective. Let me copy this. Okay. Now I have to print the array name over here. So let me give array names and then I, and then I have to execute. Click on run script. See, it gave me all the names over here. This 6 is basically coming from here. Okay, the length of the array. Let me remove this now. Now this is giving me a names: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, all the names are over here, right? So how the particular code is executing? So the way the for loop execute is, let's say it starts from here. For var equals to I, go down. Basically, it initializes the value as 0 now. I equals to 0. Come under the braces, execute this. So I is 0 now, right? So array 0. This is basically this. Array 0 is Ram, array 1 is James, array 2 is Rajesh, right? Because the index of array starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So once I is equals to 0, it basically prints the name, that is array 0. Then go here. Then it increment the I with 1. Earlier it was 1, now it becomes I. Then it goes here, a check whether this array length 7 and the I is basically 1. So 7, I means 1 is less than 7. Yes, go down. Again, print the value, that is array 1. Go again, then increment the value 1 by 2. Check the condition that 2 is less than 6. Yes, go again in the braces, execute the code. Until this particular condition matches, go to the particular braces and execute the code. In this way, the for loop basically executes. First initialize the value, then increment condition, increment condition, increment condition. Once the condition not match, then go out of the for loop. In this way, the for loop executes. Okay. So there are some situations which basically arises when we do scripting using for loop or any type of loops, that is basically to come out of the loop or to continue the loop or skipping any of the iteration in that way. So let's see what all situations are there. So there can be two basic situations occurs while using loops, such as the first one is when we have to come out of the loop when some conditions met or anything. We can use break statement in loop. For example, let's say I am saying that when the array condition matches to Rajesh, means when the loop navigate till Rajesh, the rest of the name will not get execute. How we can achieve it? See here, let me write the condition over here. If array names I equals to Rajesh, then what happen? I have to come out from the loop, means I don't want to execute the remaining options, or let's say remaining iterations. Then break. The break says that come out from the loop. Okay, let's run. So what it did basically, Ram execute, James execute, then again he found that Rajesh. Then what he did? Come out from the loop. He is not executing the rest of the code, right? So let's say if there is a particular scenario where there are thousands of values and there is a condition that if that particular array match to a particular name or the value, then the for loop not needs to be executed. In that scenario, we can use break statement. Okay, so let's see the another situation. So the another situation is that when we require to skip some code of the loop and move to the next iteration, then we can use continue statement in loop. Means, let's say in the first case, we said that when it comes to Rajesh, none of the other iteration will get execution, right? Now here, when it comes to Rajesh, then only Rajesh will get skip and rest of the names will get execute. For that, what we have to use? We have to use continue statement. So here, Ram, James, Rajesh basically skipped, Aman, Arthur, Alina. So if only single iteration or the required iteration needs to be skipped, then we have to use continue. And if we have to completely come out from the for loop or any of the loop, then we are using break. I have also given some of the examples. Break, see here, how we can use it. It is used to come out from the loop. The another one is continue. It is used to terminate the execution of the current iteration and continues with the next iteration. The example is given over here. Okay, so I believe now you have a understanding of break and continue statement which we used in loops to come out or to skip any of the iteration. Now let's move to the another way of for loop, that is for in. For in is very useful for objects and arrows. When we are doing a REST integration and there are lots of scenarios where we have to pass the data, where we have to fetch the data in a JSON format, then we have to store the values, right? Their objects and arrays is the mostly used things we have in JavaScript. Now, how to deal with that when we are using loop? So the for in is very useful in that scenarios. Let me give you example of it. So here we have array. As I have said that for in is very useful in array and objects. So let me give you a first example of array in for in. So this is basically a very traditional way to do a loop, right? For. Now let's see how we can achieve the same using for in. So here we have array names. The same scenario, I have to print the values of array what we have here, or I have to use the values of arrays, right? How I can achieve using for in. For here I have to initialize the value variable, that is, let's say, key in, that is for, and now in array. So the first thing is how many times the code will get execute. So number of keys or number of, let's say, index for understanding available in array 1 2 3 4 5 6, whatever code is written over here, number of times that code will get execute. That is the first and most important things you should know. Okay, number of index a particular array has, number of times using for in the particular code in for loop will get execute. You can give any name over here, index, keys, X, Y, Z, whatever name you want. Just for understanding perspective, I have given index. Okay. If I print index, this variable, if I print over here, what will happen? It will provide me the index number of array. Let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, gs.info, semicolon. Here I am saying index. Okay. Let's print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for in loop is basically used to provide index keys of any object and array. The second thing. Okay. Now if I have to print the array name, so means this index when executing first time giving me 0, another time giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If I have to print the array name, then how I can print the same array names here, this and this. Now what will happen when the loop execute, this index first time becomes 0, that then it will print array name 0 means Ram. Then another loop it will become 1, this array names 1, it will print James. The another time it becomes 2, then it will print Rajesh. In that way, whatever elements the array has, it will print all those names over here, right? Even though you are aware of break and continue, right? If it is required, you can implement the same while using for in array, right? Let me print. See, it gives me all the names over here. In this way, we can use for in array. Let me give you example of object also. Let me say object is basically a variable in JavaScript and object contains many values. Let me give you example of it. Details here. Oh, sorry, curly braces. So let's say employee detail name is basically a property here, and then we have to give name over here. Name say Alina. Then the another is let's say AMPID colon, and here I can say 1245. Now salary, let's say just wherein salary, let's say in India it is 45 lakhs. Okay, and any other like information of AMP details, let's say phone number, phone. Let's say it is 12121212. Okay, so this particular object contains four properties, one, two, three, four, which having a different values like name, employee ID, salary, and phone. Okay, so this is basically a static object, which is basically telling us that this particular object contains a complete information of an employee. The employee name is Alina, whose employee ID is this, salary is this, and phone number is this. Now I have to see that how we can use that object in and for in loop. So here, let's say change index with key or index is fine in, and then I have to give this name, object name. Okay, so let me remove this first just to give understanding. So how many times this particular for loop will get execute? It will execute number of times the particular object contains the properties, or let's say keys. So keys are basically properties are one, two, three, four. These are basically four keys or four properties. So if I print keys, it will give me this name, employee ID, salary, and phone. Earlier in array, it give me a index number of array 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But here in object, it will give me a property name. So let me print over here gs.info. Let me print key. Okay, and it will execute four times 1, 2, 3, 4. Run script. See, name, MPID, salary, and phone. Okay, if you're giving X over here, let's say any value, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter, right? It's a variable name only. See, and again, it is giving me a same output. So, but for understanding, I used key. You also use key over here. Okay, key. Now I have to print the name what we have in the object. So how I can print the same? See, this is object name here. Just a second. Object name, let me copy the object name correctly here. Then this brackets here. So this is the particular way to print a object. We can print object in two ways. The first one is like object name, then is this, and then here we can give a property name as in string. Okay. But here the key is returning as a string, so we are using without this columns, right? Now the another way is object name dot property or key. Key is basically name or something. Let's say if I have to print name, then I am saying object name dot name. Object name, if I have to print AMP ID, then object name dot AMP ID. So I will be covering this object in coming videos because that is the another topic, right? So we will be covering the same in detail. So here, just for understanding, here we are printing a particular object along with the key. So key is basically AMP details name. So it will give me Alina first time. The other time it will be giving me AMP ID, right? So just for understanding what I will be doing over here is let's execute first. See, it's give me a value Alina 1245 45 lakhs and 121 whatever the phone number is. For more understanding, I will also print the key just to give that how it is basically executing here. So just execute the same. So see here what happened. Key contains the first name, right? So emp-del name, print Alina. Then key contain EMP ID, right? Then in another loop, it will say EMP detail EMP ID, that is 1245, right? In that way, it is executing, and it executed basically 4 times, right? To output in a single go. So means 4 times. Number of keys an object contains, that number of times it will get execute. Okay, so I believe now you got a complete understanding of for in loop, right? There is another way, that is for of. So we can loop over iterable data structures such as array, string, node list, and more using for of. But ServiceNow does not support for of, so I am not able to give the same example which I have given in for in using for of, but I will demonstrate you same using browser console. So let's see how I can give the example and how we can use the for. It is very helpful while dealing with arrays and string. Okay, so let me give you example of it. So navigate over here. Let me write some code over here using the same array. Let me remove this object now. Mm, Okay, so let's say for where index, and I'm saying off. In foreign, basically we used in, but in for of we are using off in between. For of, then array names here. Same way, right? Now I have to print something gs.info. Here I am saying let print index. So let me try it in ServiceNow first. See, it is giving me some compiler exception that missing semicolon after for loop. Okay, but I'm not able to execute it same. So now I will be executing the same in console. So here I am saying console.log, writing code over here, console. Okay, so now I have a code over here. Copy this. So there is one difference between for in and for off. The difference is that while using for in, you remember that at the time of array, when we are printing an index, it was giving us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But while using for off, it will not give us the index, it will give us the iterable values. Okay, directly. We don't need to print like array names, then bracket index. No, that we have used in for in. For in basically use us to provide the keys or the index of an object and array, and by using that we can also print the values of object and array. But using for of, basically we can directly get the attribute names. See how we getting the same. So copy this, open the browser, press F12 just to open a console, and type over here this index and just execute. Let's see what happens. See, once I execute the same, it provide me the names Ram, James, Rajesh, Aman, Arthur, Alina, right? Same like if other than array name, if I am giving a string, as I have mentioned the definition, right? That array string node list, then what will happen? So like array string value, you can give any name over here. I'm saying JavaScript, okay, string value. This is a variable name, so there is no need to change it. Copy and just paste it over here and execute. See, it basically iterates the string which we have given JavaScript. Okay, so number of times a particular string value contains a character. If we want to execute the loop, then in that way we can use for of. So I believe now you have a understanding of for of and for in loop. Now let me also again explain you the difference between the same. So the difference between for in and for of is, for in basically we use the same syntax. Let's say for var index in add name, and we are printing index. The output is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In for of we have only changed off in place of in, but the output gets changed. Here we are getting the name, or we can say value of an array which we have declared. So this is the main difference. So we use for in loop when we need keys of object or array, etc. And if we have to iterate, but we use for loop directly to get the iterable values. Okay, so now I believe you have understanding of difference too. Now let's see the second type of loop, that is while loop. So while loop can execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. So this is also used for looping perspective, but the way to write a syntax is totally different, where we are initializing the value first and then while we are giving a condition over here, and then here we are just incrementing, decrementing the values, and whatever the code is written in the curly braces will get executed. So let's see an example of it. So here, let me delete this thing. Let's we have an array over here, while, right? So we have to initialize the value first. Let's say where I equals to 0. Initialize the value, then while loop. In while, we have to give the condition. Let's say I is less than equals to 4. Then whatever code is there in the braces will get executed. So code, simple code, that is gs.info or console.log, right? Print JavaScript. Okay. And now we have to increment the value, and whatever the requirement is, accordingly we can design the things, right? See here, it print JavaScript 5 times. Okay. Same way we can apply the same in array also. We can give like array names dot length length, right? And here is no need to write something else. Just for example perspective, see again the number of times the array element has, it will display me the or execute the code. If I have to print the array name, the same I have to give array name here with I, because I is keep incrementing, right? Keeping incrementing over here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 while using this. Run script. See here we have all the names. So how the code is getting executed over here, that first it initialize the value. That's done. Now when it comes to while loop, it basically check the condition first. It is not going inside the braces. It is checking the condition first. If the condition met, then incrementing the value, again checking the condition, executing the code, right? So in this way we can implement the while loop. Now the third type of loop is do while loop. So in do while loop, loop will execute at least one time, and then based on condition other iteration will happen. Means whatever the condition is given, whatever the values initialized, doesn't matter, it will execute first time by its own, and then by checking the condition it will get executed. Means if we want that a particular code will execute at least once, and then based on the conditions, based on the values, it will iterate, then we will be using do while loop. Let me give you example of it. So here we have like mm, let me give example over here, like do while loop. So here we are saying do, then braces, and then we are saying while, then we are saying condition. Let's say I is less than equals to 4. Okay, let me initialize the value over here is I equals to 10, where I equals to 10. Let me print some values or write a code in between it. gs.info comment your suggestions below. Okay, let me execute. See here what happened. Here we have initialized the value I equals to 10. Okay, and here we are checking the condition, but the value and the condition not matching, right? I equals to 10. It is like condition says that 10 is less than equal to 4. No, it doesn't match the condition, right? Apart from this, it executed the code at least once. But if the condition match, for example, 1. So, but here I have missed to add something, that incrementing the value, right? Otherwise, the loop will become infinite and it will run, and we need to cancel our script. Okay, so let's click. See here, it executed 4 times. Earlier it did only 1 time. So in this way, we can use do while loop. So I believe now you have a understanding of for loop, for in, for off, right? While loop and do while loop. Now I believe you can implement whatever the scenario is there coming from the array side, from the object side, even though you also know the break statement and the continue statement and how to use both the statement, right? So now let's talk about the another loop, that is nested loop. So nested loop is a loop inside the loop, is said to be nested one, means one loop containing the another loop, or it can be more loops, right? That depends on the requirement. So let me give you example of it. Nested loop. But there is one suggestion for the loop is that always check the conditions, increment values, initialize values. Otherwise, it will trigger to an infinite loop, right? So because of that, your page will get hang. Okay. In nested loop, for example, for I, initialize the value where I equals to expression 1, right? 0. Then I condition expression 2, right? Equals to 5. Then I plus plus. Here we have the first loop, right? Now loop inside loop is a nested loop. So for where j equals to 0, j condition, that is j equals to, let's say, 2 or 3, and then j plus plus. Okay. Then again this one. Here let me print the values gs.info. Here the conditions can be like the value of I. Just for an example that how it is getting executed. What basically value is coming from. I am writing this plus value of j plus j. Okay. So let me give some less values over here. Chew. Run script. See what is happening over here. First, this loop get executed. I equals to 0. Go down. Right? Check the condition. It is less than 2. Yes. Go down. Then this loop comes into picture. J equals to 0. J is less than equal to 3. Yes. Come down. Then it is say print I. I is 0. J is 0. Print first time. But this loop is not over now, right? Now j will increment by 1. Go here, check the value, print 0, 1. Means I equals to 0 and j equals to 1. Again go and check. The value is less than equal to 3. Yes. Now j is 2. Print 0, 2. In that way, it prints till 3. Once the condition not matched, then it goes to the first one and check, okay, earlier it was I was 0, now I is 1. Check the condition, okay, go inside. Then 1, the same, the j is 0 now. 0, 1, 2, 3. In that way, nested loop get executed. You can apply n number of loops, depends on your requirement, right? So in this way, you can use n number of loops in this way. So I believe now you have understanding of all the concepts related to loops. So friends, whatever code I have written in the demonstration, I have posted the same in my website. I will also paste the URL in the description of a YouTube video. You can like navigate to those URLs and get the content from there. Okay. So this is all for this video. And wait. I think you forget to like, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel. And for more service related topics, visit my website, that is www.basicoservicenolearning.in. Thank you friends. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.